Welcome to Sabor Astrology with T and Shay, a podcast for the soul. Today, we'll be talking about how to balance life with the current cosmic energies. And without further ado, I would love to pass La Taza to T for the transits of this week. Welcome, T.
Thank you, Shay. It's so good to be here again with you. And yeah, there's so much going on this week, so much. And I think we're all affected by it, both, personally and both on, collective levels. And yeah, I just want to say that to put that out there. I know personally this week has been a hard week. And I was going to go into Mercury in Virgo, trines Jupiter and Taurus, but I think instead we're going to talk about Mars and Libra. So I think the challenge with this is you have Mars, the warrior. You have Mars who knows what they want, who's headstrong. Mars is going to go strike out for what they want. They're going to claim their stake, right? And it's in Libra, which is relationships, right? And in relationships, you have more than one viewpoint in a relationship, so that you have two people, sometimes more people, depending on what relationship we're talking about. But I think now with Venus being in retrograde, a lot of us are more interested in personal relationships, right? Our partners, our significant others. And, Mars is in Libra. So you could have that warring element in there, but then it's also opposing Neptune, which, Neptune is inspiration, which is faith, but there's also a big possibility of deception and a lack of clarity because they're not understanding. And sometimes Mars gets in there, and Mars is so narrow-minded. I'm thinking of Aries, right? Mars can see what they want to see, and they know the way. With that lack of clarity, it could be pretty dark, like really not sure what's going on, right? But then Mars is trining Pluto also, which can be very transformative in a relationship. So while it could herald in the anger that I'm seeing or selfishness, is not a wonderful thing with Mars being in Libra, it's also an opportunity for healing. It's also an opportunity for understanding. It's also an opportunity for regeneration in a relationship. So it's really, if you say Mars and Libra, I was reading up on it earlier, and it's sociable, charming, direct, but it's also the possibility of being hindered by indecisiveness while you're weighing options. A time of, I think, breaking it down, talking with the person one-on-one, seeing where there could be healing, where some things were misunderstood, seeing where, it's interesting too, because what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing right now, and we do intuitive astrology, what I'm hearing right now is that, there has to be that balance in relationships, right? Libra, balance. So that there's the giving, and then there's also the wanting to receive. And we cannot feed people. We cannot feed them. We cannot feed them to make them feel better. We can be there for the people that we love. We can also encourage them. We could show them that we're stable, that we're there for them. But at some point, they have to take that on themselves. They have to believe that. They have to believe that. And sometimes we're not the people to do that, although we do our best. So then you also have Uranus and Mercury trining Pluto. And I got so into it's just too much, right? It's just so much going on in the energies in the sky right now. And I think that I'm going to leave that Mars and Libra where I just left it. And you want to take over, Shayla?
Absolutely fine. With Mars entering Libra, there is, again, I love the way you express the T, where it's about, we know we have to weigh things at the same time, there might be this indecisiveness. And that's one way to think about how Mars is trying to be diplomatic in a way. This warrior person trying to say, should I take on this war or should I step back and not take on this war? Should I wear my guard and my sword, or should I put it away? And Mars has an issue with that, a little bit of an anger problem with with that situation, because it's asking it to loosen up a little bit of the ego, of the warrior mentality, and stepping in diplomatic. Diplomatic is very difficult, believe it or not. It's an easy word to pronounce, it's easy to understand, but to actually do it is another thing. Being diplomatic, you have to let go of your ego, let go of your expectations, and kind of like go with it. So it's letting go all of that, putting everything down, and that can be challenging for Mars. It's also thinking about fairness and unfairness, like the outcomes of that. What are the outcomes of things being fair in our life and unfair? And that's for us to decide. I got that. For us to decide what is unfair. Is it because we see it unfair because we're seeing it we're thinking about it in a way that's Martian, or we're thinking about it more in the Libra energy, right? So as we know, Aries and Libra are opposite of each other. So they make naturally in the zodiac are apart. So Aries is the self and Libra is the self and other. And so here is that pull for Mars. It's not feeling too comfortable there. Because it's deciding where it wants to be. Should I be me or should I be them and with them in a way? But that's up to Mars to decide. And since Libra is ruled by Venus, there can be really good conversations that lead to compromise, or there could be conversations where there can be burning. The conversation ends up being an ouch for either person or whoever's in that circle. And this can burn our intimate connections too. Either it makes it better and compromise, or it makes it ouchy with the heat of Mars. And I'm getting here, make sure not to touch the stove too soon in this planetary action. Listen in to what Mars wants to do right now in Libra. Rather than take action like Mars wants to do, just listen in. Make it more logical in your life. So then it's more of a step rather than action, rather than the fire. And let it cool off. Let things cool off when things can get a little bit unbalanced, right? Unbalanced. The Libra connects to Lady Justice in the tarot. So how can you weigh the brass scales in a way that doesn't tip to one side too much or the other too much, and we can kind of balance it there? It can be a little challenge.
It can be a little challenging. And I mean, we just entered the nodes just changed, right? So you have Aries North Node and Libra South Node. So it's like, where are we heading? Where are we going during this 18-month cycle? So that's another thing to keep on mind. So this is like right on with the timing, right? This is happening, and so we're being shown the issues that we need to work with, and how you do it, as you say, don't touch that hot stove. How we do it is the way we're going to either create something really beautiful in our lives, or maybe not compromise. Maybe compromise. Each person is an individual. We all have different signs. We all have different combinations. We all are affected by different transits. So, it's really important, I think, to know where this lands for you. I mean, we give these general ideas, informations regarding transits, but what is your personal business regarding these transits? So that's why, I always encourage, look up, find what your chart looks like. Is this affecting you at all? Maybe not as much as, some of the rest of us is being affected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So then,
through it, right? Thinking through it.
It's not like, oh my God, this is what's happening, oh wow, like maybe not. Some
We're
people
not doomed. We all experience things differently.
definitely. I mean, the next one I want to talk about is the Uranus in retrograde. And I mean, I'm like definitely fascinated by Uranus being in retrograde right now because I have Uranus practically sitting right on my Taurus, my natal Taurus in my relationship house, right? And Venus is in retrograde. And Uranus can be very disruptive. It brings in just like major transits that have been like, or major things happen that are unexplained, that is like, how does this thing happen? It's like a tree fell in my front yard the other day, and we had just gotten up and we hear this like grrr, and we're like, wait a minute, what is that? Like, wait, what? And then look out the window and the whole tree had gone down, and it is like huge. And that's unexpected, but it's kind of expected when you have Uranus and Taurus, right? And that tree came down. So the good thing about Uranus being in retrograde is that it's a time for us to start making personal decisions about ourselves. Like, what do we want to transform? What kind of changes do we want to make? Like, we can be more in control. Like, there's more of a locus of control here than just like saying, oh my God, things are happening to me. The tree is coming down. Like, we had the tree guy come out and he says, yeah, that tree came down, but that other tree is going to fall on your house. So we have an opportunity to get that other tree down before it happens. So this is how it works, like in real life, at least for me, right? And we have relationship with the trees. We have relationship with each other, my spouse and myself. So something to talk about, like, what is the decision that we're going to be making? This Uranus in retrograde is going to last until January of 2024. So it's going to be more of an opportunity for you to find that power within yourself to make the changes that you need to do. Follow your intuition. It can be, Uranus is rebellious, it's revolutionary, it's visionary. So it's big stuff. And this is, an opportunity for you to make the changes that you want to make change. And sometimes these ideas, especially with Uranus, right? It just is like boom, like the idea comes to you and like it. This is for me. This is what I have to do. And I kind of like that, as as I said, like personally, because Uranus is in Taurus. And also you have Jupiter that's sitting right there. That's also going to be going to retrograde in the next few days. So there's more expansion there. It's like, where am I going? Where am I headed? Someone else without this transit may not be as affected by it, right? So Uranus has been in Taurus from 2018, and it's going to be in there until March of 2026. So we've got a little while to go with that. So I would say just like take advantage of this time with it being in retrograde. I think, retrograde, sometimes we can get afraid that retrograde, does that mean it's going backwards? Does that mean it's a bad thing? And not necessarily, it's not that it's going backwards. It's just that it's like slow down and all the other planets are just like, moving along. So, it's another opportunity. It's another opportunity. And I'm tending to think about all these transits as opportunities. To get out of, something you may not be good, may not be for your highest good or for the planet's highest good, because Uranus is an outer planet. So it's, in respect to the collective. So I think that's all the thoughts I have on that right now.
Beautiful. That made me think of these retrogrades, right? This pairing. We have Mercury, we have Venus in retrograde, now Uranus, all these planets in retrograde. And it's almost like we're ironing our attire, We're fixing the wrinkles. We're working through the wrinkles. Maybe we need to patch something in our clothes or patch something up or work through something. And I'm just using that image as a symbol to understanding how these retrogrades can work for us. Certainly just in a suit, trying to fix ourselves, working through things. And this is a good time, again, like T mentioned, to work on the self, on the personal self. With this aspect here, Uranus going retrograde, I'm getting that this can also teach us a lot about our own monetary patterns, the personal one, how we are personally carrying those ideas of money and value in relationships in our life for freedom. And we're relearning that so we can find freedom when Uranus goes direct in January of 2024. There's a personal evaluation of our relationships that Uranus wants us to free ourselves from. And this is also personal. It's not like there's going to be a breakup. It's more like the inside of us, the inner work to get to that freedom. When the planet of freedom is in retrograde, which is Uranus is in retrograde, there's a little bit of a buildup of pressure because Uranus is fire. So the planet wants to expand everywhere. It wants to make changes, but when it's in retrograde, there could be some pressure. Could be like a pressure cooker. So we're working through those pressures as best as we can, but those pressures are good because they teach us to become more in tune with the self. So there's an aspect of personal development that happens. And this pressure also teaches us how to be more malleable and work through things. So meaning being more mutable, being more flexible. So when Uranus goes direct in January 27 of next year, we're able to now know that change is okay, that the changes within our bodies, our minds, our even monetary things is okay. And then we find freedom through that. And it's a challenging process, but it's one that really asks us to grow on a personal level. So then we can go out in society and kind of teach those things, or maybe someone will come up and want that kind of advice or want to learn from the things that we're all personally learning during this retrograde. So I think it's really interesting. And let's see how it all works. Remember, it works differently for everyone. It might not impact any of us, or it all depends. And it's about us learning through it.
Yeah, that's great. You gave me the image of putting like metal in fire and creating a different shape for it, refining it, making something beautiful. That's what I saw when you started talking. So thank you for that image.
That like soldering.
Yeah.
Great.
Now we're going to talk a little bit about Mercury and Virgo trining Jupiter and Taurus, and that's from September 3rd to the 5th. And so this transit brings you the opportunity to be open to new ideas and ways to use your intellectual side. Projects that you have been working on, they may be, come to fruition in a positive manner. Remember, though, that the transit doesn't work for you. You work with the transit. So Virgo and Taurus are earth signs. Virgo is mutable. It's a worker. Mercury is Virgo's ruler, and they're very comfortable together, right? They're all happy over there in that house. Taurus is stabilizing, it's grounding, very creative, and it's ruled by Venus. So we think of abundance and beauty and finances and material possessions. And then Jupiter's near in Taurus, hanging out by there. And that brings the gift of expansion, prosperity, good fortune. So it's easygoing in nature, and this bodes well in Taurus, which is like sublime simplicity when they're happy, when they're doing well, and then when they're not like the raging bull, right? Which is, I think, rare for Taurus, but there is always that potential, for Taurus. Like when they see red, they see red. Although they're very beautiful and earthy and abundant in love, at the same time. So it's like, okay. So these are all great combinations. But again, neither Virgo, neither Taurus or slackers. So you're going to have to do some work in order to complete these projects or bring these new ideas to light. And neither one of them are afraid of work. Neither one of them are afraid of work. It's only a couple of days, but 9-3 to 9-5, but somehow I'm feeling like this is gonna be more of an energy for us to be aware of in the coming months. And that's kind of vague, but that's what I'm being told right now, is to just kind of like hold on to your seat, do what you need to do. You're open to these new things that are coming towards you. So be with it. So be with it. If we sign up for a course, or we decide to plant a garden. Of course, you're not going to be planting a garden now, at this time of the year, but whatever it is that you're doing, know that it's for the long haul, but it's going to be so definitely worth it. So absolutely worth it is the idea that I'm getting. Just to stick with your process, and you will be, like that saying is, you will be amazed before you are halfway through.
Beautiful. I love that. That's such a good segue into how this transit is super good for us. It's kind of favorable for all of us, especially in relation to, again, projects, business. With Mercury in retrograde, it's important to read between the lines in your projects. So refine things, get things ready. Again, this is the symbolism of we're getting ready for something big to help us expand. So let's fine tune the small steps so we can get to the bigger picture. And like T mentioned, this energy feels like it will be something along the way for the rest of the year or for the months to come. And I do feel that is the energy that's coming up. It's almost like giving us commitment and foundation. It's not very airy. It's really grounding us in our contracts, in our business, and in our ideas. And even like the worker bee, like if any of you are worker bees, I am, it's going to help us. It's going to help us be more open, be more malleable. Again, that word, being more flexible. Jupiter is flexible. He's the planet of expansion. So this will give us the foundation while we expand. And I think this will be a great 2 days that we'll learn some things to refine, and then we'll apply to the bigger picture of things. Also being mindful of too many inner thoughts jumbled together in this time. So meaning if there's any indecisions about where to go with certain projects, just sit with it rather than allow these like ideas to just kind of cloud you or bring a sense of not being clear, misinterpretation of things in your project. So just sit down with it, process it. And these two energies are about that. So Jupiter and Mercury, all in Earth, is going to help us do that. So that's going to be a great stabilizing energy for all of us. We have a full moon today in Pisces. This full moon is interesting because it's in Pisces. And this is a great full moon to tune into our deep emotions, letting go of the past, spiritual celebration. But with this full moon comes Saturn. So Saturn is conjunct the full moon in Pisces, which can bring a sense and a need to commit and also be responsible or share responsibilities with someone. Being mindful here that Saturn is, almost think about Saturn, if we can think about it as an archetype, would be like an old sage. And old sages, they have wisdom, but they also have boundaries and they have certain rules. So in Pisces, the moon wants to be mystical, wants to be all over the place, but you have Saturn sitting right next to the moon. So there can be some emotional imbalances or feeling like emotions are constricted in a way. But with this, Saturn will teach that full moon in Pisces how to ground and figure out a way to liberate themselves and ground their emotions. Pisces wants to meander around the world, Neptunian in nature, but Saturn waves at Pisces and tells Pisces, hey, practice some restraint, practice some grounding. Let's do this together, which can be difficult for Pisces moon and especially a full moon. But we'll get there. Make sure to take care of yourselves during this time. Celebrate it as well. Oh, Saturn's going to take over the moon. No, it's more like they're working together. We'll learn about emotional stability here as well. So take any herbal baths. I always like to recommend those because I personally do them, and they bring our energy back to where they need to be. They help with body temperature. They help with just connecting to the senses and the body. So work with that, with Saturn being in Pisces and the moon being in Pisces, spending some time in water or meditating with the sounds of water. Bring that in, even taking a walk. Get some fresh air during this full moon, and then see what you've overcome. What have you achieved through the past 2 weeks from the new moon to now, the full moon, and journal about it and see how that feels for you. And remember, this full moon will affect everyone differently because everyone has different placements, everyone has different sign. So take it one step at a time.
Yeah,
and that's all.
Great. I mean, I'm seeing when you're talking, like with the journaling, like to sit out and meditate underneath that moon. The weather is beautiful right now in many places. Some places it's not, of course, stormy and hurricanes and so forth. But if you do have the opportunity to go out or even sit, at your window and look up and commune with the moon, talk to the moon, ask the moon, what messages do you have for me? Write those down. And do that with love, with celebration. I really see a golden light. As you're talking, I see this golden light around this moon. And, if you can meditate with water, if you have a bowl of water and you can, let the moon rays, enter that water, pray, give thanks, ask to be shown what it is that you need to be seen. Like have conversation with the moon. That's what she's there for. Oh, grandmother moon, like have a relationship with her. And I think it can be really, really beautiful.
Absolutely. Even charge your water with the moon rays. Make the intention for that. I think that's great. You just gave me a great idea, by the way. I'm gonna just put like a whole bunch of bowls on my windowsill.
Yeah, and put a crystal out there. Put your crystals on the windowsill, right? Oh, hello, hi.
Have another one here.
Oh my God, how beautiful. Oh my God, they must be sisters or cousins.
Yeah, right.
I love it. So yeah, so take them out to play. Take them out to play.
Yes.
Yeah, and ask for clarity and also ask for support. Like if there are things that you don't particularly want to see that may be uncomfortable, ask the moon to send you the support that you need through it. Ask the moon because she will provide.
Yes.
It's a very loving moon. This is a very beautiful moon. They talk about the different energies of the moons, right?
Yeah, this one it's very intuitive, very gracious, dreamy, definitely dreamy. Yeah, it's beautiful. As a Pisces myself, I definitely will be feeling this for sure. So I'm gonna have all my rocks and all my water on the windowsill tonight.
That was great. It sounds so good.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to Sabor Astrology. We love you. We appreciate you. And if you have any questions, requests, Q&As, please feel free to email us at saborastrology@gmail.com. You can also email T@Teresa Varela. And also you can contact me, Shay, individually, and we will answer your questions, provide you with an answer. And if you have a Q&A that you want us to share on the podcast, make sure to write in the subject space. We'll get to you as soon as possible. And we look forward to the next episode with you. And also, we want to share a special bonus episode that we have been working on. And this is called The Mysteries of Huerta Mercado, which is available on Patreon. We are on Patreon now, so you're able to watch it there. And we will have other content coming in as well, like bonus episodes and other information and more astrological insight for you on Patreon. So feel free to go down to the description box, get the information, and always remember to like, share, subscribe to our channel. We appreciate that. And T, is there anything you would like to share before we close out?
Yeah, I just want to say con mucho sabor. We love you, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you everyone for tuning in to Sabor Astrology with T and Shay. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next one.